guys, happy Tuesday. So today you are going to watch the video. You are going to then click the links underneath the video. One is going to take you to a really cute cartoon called For the Birds, and I want you to watch that. I think we might have watched it earlier. And after that, you are going to do one of two things. You're either going to click on the other link down below, which brings you to an online Google form to fill out talking about what the lesson is in the video for the birds, or you're going to take your own piece of paper at home and tell me two things. So you might want to replay this later and pause while you listen to my questions. The first question I have about the video is, what did the little birds do when the big bird came? And the second question I have is, what is the lesson of the video? So you can either go online and fill that out, or you can write number 1, number 2 on a piece of paper and answer those questions for me. So I hope you have a good day. Bye. The Adventures of Minnie Palmer. Psst. Hey, second graders, come closer. Yeah, it's time for a new game. I'm going to give you 3 clues about where in the world I am, and you have to guess where I am. You can send your guesses to Mrs. Palmer. So it's time to play Where in the World is Minnie Palmer? Ready? Clue 1. It is hot here, hotter than Minnesota. Clue 2. I've seen some sand here. Clue 3. I might be able to practice my geometry here because there's some big shapes. Send your guesses to Minnie Palmer for round 1 of Where in the World is Minnie Palmer? Don't forget to practice your spelling words. All right, second graders. Our book today is a nonfiction book again, another nonfiction that has illustrations that make it look like a fiction book. It is called Hoop Genius: How a Desperate Gym Teacher and a Rowdy Gym Class Invented Basketball, written by John Coy, illustrated by Joe Morse. And this is a true story about how basketball got invented. In December of 1891, James Naismith, a young teacher, took over a rowdy gym class that had already forced 2 teachers to quit. So they are so rowdy, so naughty. 2 teachers have already quit. He didn't want to, but nobody else would teach that class. The students hated the boring exercises and gymnastics that they'd been doing over and over. So Naismith decided to try something fun. Indoor football. He needed something much less rough. Look here, they're getting hurt. He's thinking, all right, this is too rough. The next day, Naismith suggested indoor soccer. He called a halt. They're getting tangled up. In desperation, he turned to his favorite sport, lacrosse. Nothing was working with this group. Naismith felt like giving up but couldn't. The boys in the class reminded him of how he'd been at their age, energetic, impatient, and eager for something exciting. He needed a totally new game where, to avoid tackling, no running with the ball was allowed. He remembered playing duck on a rock as a boy. In that game, you knocked an opponent's fist-sized stone off a larger rock by throwing your own. If you missed, you had to retrieve your stone before you were tagged, so accuracy was more valuable than force. He snapped his fingers and said, "I've got it. How about a game with a goal off the ground that required an arcing throw?" That night, he stayed up late thinking about the new game. The next morning, December 21st, 1891, Naismith rushed into his office and grabbed a soccer ball. Now, he needed a goal. He asked Pop Stebbins, the building superintendent, for a couple of square boxes. He didn't have them, but he had something else. 2 old peach baskets. Naismith tacked the rules to the gym bulletin board and promised the class that if this new game failed, he would not try any more experiments. Captains chose teams of 9 members, and Naismith selected 2 centermen. He tossed the ball up between them, and they jumped for it to start the new game. The first ever game of basketball. Because the men had never played before, Naismith called many fouls for holding, pushing, and tripping. After 2 fouls, the player had to sit on the sideline until the next goal occurred. William Chase launched a shot from 25 feet that went in for the first and only basket of the game. When Naismith blew the whistle to end the game, nobody wanted to leave. The next day, the students lined up eagerly for the game. They played hard but avoided fouling because they wanted to stay on the court. When students went home for Christmas vacation, they taught the new game to their friends. Soon, people in cities, small towns, and on farms were playing basketball. In 1892, a group of women teachers from a nearby school asked James Naismith if they could play too. "I don't see why not," he said, and games were arranged. In one of them, Naismith, as a referee, was shocked when he called a foul and one of the women protested as strongly as any man. But he remembered that game clearly. One of the women, Maud Sherman, later became his wife. By 1936, basketball was so popular around the world that it had become an Olympic sport. James Naismith attended the opening ceremonies, and when each nation dipped its flag to honor him, tears of happiness came to his eyes. And today, millions of people around the world play the game that was invented by James Naismith and that rowdy class. Do you? And just a real little picture of James Naismith and his Phi Ed class there. And if you want to read a little bit more about him, you can always do a Kittle search on him or check it out on Epic. I hope you enjoyed the story today.